We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 33. And we got our usual co host. You can now present yourself.
Cole, how's your day been?
Man, that's rough. Working day shift, man, it's rough. It's hell on
Yeah.
earth. I miss my evening and my nights. But
Mhm.
outside of that, I'm fine because we are doing the podcast today and this is the best day of the week.
Yeah, I'll
How
be
was
honest.
your
I
day?
had it's been pretty good for the most part. I will say though, I had a night schedule too for years, but and again, when I switched back to normal, I thought I would just hate it, but it eventually came naturally. Again, honestly, I keep switching back and forth these days, honestly, and it's just indifferent nowadays. There's positives to both. I mean, um, the only reason why I do like nighttime more is just because I don't know how to explain it. It's like just less goes on in the morning, so I just rather spend more time at night. But whatever.
Yeah, it's it's exhausting waking up with the sun and going to sleep with the
Yeah,
sun. You know,
it's like tell me, well, what do many people do from like 8 p.m. to around like 12 or whenever you go work at everybody watching not much, honestly. A waste of 4 hours, or would you rather spend it from like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. or even later or until the sun rises? But hey, I mean they did do a study though, in that people who have a later schedule tend to live less longer because it fucks up their body clock and metabolism and shit. But I looked it up though. It's like barely a difference. It's like 6 months, and it's like, yeah, I'm here for a great life, not a super long life. So hey,
so yeah, I just wanted to say this. I also posted the link to our Discord chat, and we got someone coming. So he will join for the flash talk,
mm-hmm.
and yeah,
Well, which
let's
one are we
have
gonna
him.
start with?
The
Curious.
Flash. It was also the first thing I've seen, so that's the furthest
Ooh,
away in my memory.
nice.
So, how are you, DC?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Hope you guys are doing fine. But yeah. I watched The Flash yesterday on Valentine's Day, yeah. But yeah, so far I'm doing good. Doing good. Doing
This is
better than
good.
last time. But yeah, I'm doing good.
We will also cover the trailer. Have you seen the trailer?
No, not yet. And to be honest, I kind of don't want to be spoiled or see what's coming up because I did that with season 8, and yeah, they just know. I think they showed way too much sometimes in some of the trailers, but yeah.
Of
Okay.
course. I mean, yeah, they spoil the whole fucking thing in a lot of things. God
Yeah.
damn.
So, I guess we will keep the movie for later. And we will focus on the show. So, how was your day, Marvel DC?
It was good. It was good. I'd say yesterday was much better, but yeah, today was good.
So, that's good to hear. Now, the first topic of today will be The Flash Season 9, Episode 1. So, starting with Cole, what did you thought overall without going into detail? Because we will go into detail after our
Uh,
overall thoughts.
this actually was a really special episode. This did something really special. You know what that was?
What?
It reminded me why I don't like the Flash.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but I'm sorry. I just
That's fine.
there's just so many elements, and like the lack of polishness and everything and the writing. Just not a fan. Not a fan of. But I mean, I don't. Again, I don't think it's. And I didn't think this episode was terrible or anything. But
It wasn't good
again,
for you.
yeah, it's just it. Well, again, that's like the most of the show and most of like each season though, because again, I just think it's not a terrible show, just below average, as I said before. Like again, I think the outside of certain characters, I do think just some of the characters that's sort of the better aspect of it, which is weird because I also find a lot of it to be like cheesy and stuff, and also to write in. But I do think like just there's a genuine feel to it though, and that kind of elevates it, outside of like certain annoying characters. But yeah, I mean, didn't think this was bad, but yeah, and then there are some things I liked, but overall, it did kind of just refresh my memory on why I'm not a huge fan of this show or most like CW shows. It's just not my cup of tea, but I'm glad other people enjoyed it.
So before we move to DC, I'd like to say this again, even if I repeat myself almost every stream. The magic is in the diversity and the thought people have over things, even if it's different from each other. And this is what makes this podcast interesting, I think. It's having other perspective, other opinion on stuff, because we don't want to sound like an echo chamber, because any echo chamber, regardless of positive or negative, is kind of bad. And I'm glad you are not exactly on the same page as probably both of us. I say probably because we haven't heard what DC has to say. So with that being said, what are your overall thought, DC, without going into too much detail, because we will go over detail after that.
I thought this season premiere was better than most of season 8. I did have some flaws here and there, but overall I'd say it's definitely a step up from season 8 that we got.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. So, my thought is I was surprised. This was a loop episode, a bottle episode about Barry and Iris, and this served as a season premiere. So, this is the kind of stuff you get by the end of a season or in the middle when you don't really know what to do with your character. I think it was unique to start off with that, and yeah, now I think we are good to go with more detail. So starting with DC again, what would be the flaws you did find in the show, if you found any?
Some of the flaws I found is that they continuously have this very repetitive thing where they always have to have Barry needing some sort of pep talk over something, and Barry quickly proves that he's wrong. Um, that kind of stuff. Like I get that, there's always that chance that, Barry isn't always correct. And I like that they always acknowledge that. But I think the way they've been doing it last couple of seasons is way too far. And for me, I'm always like, okay, I get why they need this pep talk, but sometimes they take it too far. And I think that was a pretty bad case in this episode because, when Barry has the whole book thing, and he instead goes to Joe and Cecile, and they kind of explain that and explain everything to Barry, even though I'm like, Barry's been what, a superhero for 9 years, and I'm like, there he has to at least realize that things he's done affected others. I mean, look at Flashpoint.
Yeah,
Look at the particle accelerator. It's like it affected other people, even if the way he did it probably was for the better good. He still does affect people. I wish they did a different way of explaining that Barry isn't actually correct.
yeah. I see where you are getting at with this. It's very interesting. Anything else you'd like to add on the part of issues and stuff you didn't really enjoy?
I guess another thing I didn't like is something from season 8 is the whole like CCC media stuff. I'm not a fan of that. Like, I get that you need to have like some of the characters have a bit of a storyline, but I think like in season 8, I feel like the way they did it was just not good. Like, I mean, in season 8 they had Allegra dealing with this antagonistic like like co-worker with Taylor, and I always predicted that, maybe because she has that antagonistic like feeling, maybe she could have been, the show's interpretation of Cobalt Blue, but turns out she was just a regular co-worker who just has a bad temper. I really hate when the show does things like that.
I see where you are getting at. Anything else?
Eh, I think that's about it.
Okay, now I think Cole will have the most interesting issues here and there. What were your issues, Cole? Because you say it wasn't that
Well,
great.
honestly, when it comes to the Flash, I don't have anything like specific. I just think like it's a little bit of everything, and I don't think they do like anything horribly to like like a 1 out of 10 extent. But I think they have like a kind of a little bit of like each thing, like writing wise, filmmaking wise, that's just drags it down. Like again, the I would say the pacing, and again, I do agree though. This was a step up from recent episodes I've seen. This was one of the better ones I've seen in a little while. But that's so not saying much for me personally. But again, the pacing was an improvement for me personally. But yeah, I mean, again, there's some stuff in the writing, and then emotions that I think just felt a little cheap. And I mean, I don't want to bring up CGI, with these shows because again, they're low budget. But yeah, the editing could have been improved on, but it wasn't too bad in this episode. I'll say, and the introduction scenes editing was probably one of the better ones. But there are other issues with that, introduction thing. Yeah, some of the dialogue was a little weak too. The again the polishness of like just many different aspects I just think was lackluster with the way it was filmed visually, and the lighting was just yeah. But again, I'll say I don't have too much to say specifically for this one, at least because this was more of a uh, I mean, again, it was just like kind of a setup episode for this season, so I don't have like too much to say, narratively or whatnot,
Yeah.
dive into too much. But so you are wrong about me having the most, things to say or interesting thing. Yeah, I have probably the opposite. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything else I can think of, then while your guys are talking, then I'll let you know. But yeah, nothing specifically. I just think it's not executed too well in each area as it could have been.
Okay. Anything else to add with the issues? I guess not.
Yeah, again, if I remember any, then I'll let you know. But again, not really. It's just a little bit of everything in each area. It's just yeah, but it's not. It doesn't do a terrible job at anything. Like even the stuff I said, it didn't do terrible job. It just did like again kind of a mediocre job for me personally. But with what I like, but
So I see where both of you are coming from. It's very interesting to get both of your perspective, and I can fully understand um, disliking the city citizen aspect of the story. I actually don't care about that. It's not something I like. It's not something I dislike. I did hated some of the things in season 8 uh, about citizen thing, the journal basically.
if they made the conversations more interesting, then I would like it more.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. You hit the nerve at the right point, at the right
I
place.
think it's hit the nail on the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also
So
wish they make it more relevant. Like one of the CCC coworkers actually becomes like a villain. Like you see this coworker a lot and you're wondering how is this character important? And then like say in mid-season finale it turns out that coworker was a supervillain. I really wish they do something like that to actually give a little bit more of a mystery Like they do it in other shows a lot, and I
Yeah,
kind of wish the Flash did the same thing.
yeah. So as I said, for me, it's not something I liked. It's not something I disliked. However, there are two things that really brought down the episode a lot for me. And the first thing, as much as the action in the opening scene was great, you need to turn off the volume and the sound because the dialogue is terrible. I was rolling my eyes. I was like, sometimes the Flash can be cringe, sometimes the Flash has bad dialogue, but there, this was peak atrocious, terrible dialogue. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
really?
that's my biggest issue with this episode. And
Really?
what did you not like the dialogue in the very beginning? That was definitely not cringe at all.
I mean,
Well,
I mean,
isn't it? You're entitled to disagree, DC. Like it's your opinion, and as I said earlier, diversity is essential. So if you liked it, you liked it. You know, like I didn't like it, but you have
yeah.
every right
Yeah,
to. Did you like it,
diversity is
DC?
essential. That's why we have all that's why we all have white males on here because diversity is really important to the stream.
Wow.
Dang.
So DC, did you like the dialogue?
And I mean the beginning because if I was being brutally honest, I was really not looking forward to season 9. Um, I guess because I didn't have my hopes up, I guess I enjoyed the dialogue, except some of the dialogue with Allegra and Cecile, I guess have not improved. And I actually like Cecile. I like Cecile as a character. I think when she was given material back in like season 4 or season 3, I thought it was good material. And even some of the things she did in season 5, but it was really season 6 where she kind of became one of my favorites. I just wish that they did better, more things with her. Like even though I kind of quit the last few episodes of season 8, I know that the whole that she is trying to become like a vigilante, which and she has like these like what new telekinetic powers. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not buying into that, and I feel like I remember back in like Arrow or Flash or earlier seasons, they always had like some sort of training. It's not like just a case, oh, some magical day I just gonna become a superhero. It actually requires training. And even in some of the DC films, you saw like Batman Begins is a perfect example. First tab you see Bruce Wayne, he's in the League of Shadows and he's in this like ice mountain area and he's training to become Batman. I kind of wish they did that with Cecile. It would have, I would have bought more into it, and I would have said that I could buy Cecile better as a vigilante, if you ask me.
Okay, that's very interesting takes there. So my other issue was in the entire episode, the pacing felt off. I feel like they repeated a lot of things we didn't need to see only for the sake of comic relief or to pretend it has more content than what we actually got. And this is actually the first time since the show started where I think pacing was an issue. Like sometime in season 8, I found a few pacing issues. Season 6 in the back half had awful pacing, but outside of these exceptions, I think overall the pacing of the Flash is not that bad. But in this episode, I just felt like we could have taken away easily. I say easily a good 5 minutes of that episode and still get the same story.
Oh, I mean, for me, it's indifferent. So I actually thought the pacing kind of improved. I will say though, the scene structure that was an issue, but the pacing itself, I didn't mind personally.
Yeah. So I'm done with my issues. These are my issues. They brought down the episode, but I still liked it a lot. I still like the episode a lot, even if it brought down the episode. Um, so with that being said, Any other issues before we speak about the positive and the good part of it? I guess not. Okay, so I will start off that liked part of the episode, and then we will follow with Cole. So I like the action scene. If I turn off the volume, the action scene at the start of the episode was actually really good. Everything being a dream. I forgot what it was hinting at. Maybe the fact that this action scene was a dream was the good thing about it, I think. Cecile training, I like that uh, because she's a meta and they really want her to be forefront. They really want Cecile to be important and to be on the field. So the fact that we see her training, I like that. Now, there's another thing where I'm divided. I don't know how I feel about that because I don't dislike it or I don't like it really. Joe character. I feel like that's an issue I had in season 8. I feel like Joe is played goofy in a different way. Like I feel like in season 8 they started making Joe just a comic relief character. They kind of changed him. I don't know what exactly they changed, but the Joe we had in season 8 wasn't the same as any previous season. And in this episode, the scenes he had with Cecile, at least, I really felt it. Now, do I dislike it? Do I like it? As of right now, I don't know how I feel about that. I agree with characters getting character growth. This is really good. But if you change your character just to make him comic relief or to have a watered down version of the character you used to have, I think this is when it's wrong. And at this point, I I won't say that's the case of Joe, but if he is still played for goofy and for humor and being like different than what he was, then I may end up having an issue later with Joe. Any thoughts on Joe? Starting with DC actually, because you know the show a bit better than Cole, because you have seen every season. Did you felt like Joe was Joe this episode? Am I
Um,
crazy?
he felt more like Joe from like the earlier seasons than he did in season 8. In season 8, they completely kind of ruined him, especially in episode 5, where he screams at Barry and Iris saying, "We gotta save Dawn," even though that same season Dawn literally later kills Iris. Um, I'd say Joe was definitely better in this one episode than he was in the entirety of season. And he was kind of like Joe because, Joe was always more of that character that it's kind of like what DJ Eric always says. He's the one who brings everyone together, and because of that, he felt more like Joe than from the early seasons than say Joe from season 8.
Okay, that's fair enough. Interesting take. So, my next like was 60 media. Actually, it's in my likes. Maybe it's because I see Iris getting more work and getting more important in journalism and that media and stuff. Maybe that's why I placed like, because I feel like Iris is slowly changing into a different businesswoman, and this is actually good because this gives different story to tell with Iris. Um, Now, next up is Captain Kramer about to retire. So this was in the first meeting. I like that because that's some kind of hint at the future of the character. What happened to DC? Maybe he needs to refresh or something. I will message here. Oh, okay, he's coming back. Okay, so
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I was gonna click the mic and that just wait. I was like, what happened? Yep. Sorry. Sorry.
That's
I
fine.
don't know what happened.
So, yeah, I'm glad that they hint at what Kramer will do in the future. I think this episode was actually funny most of the time, and this is a praise because sometimes the Flash humor is failing. Sometimes the jokes they don't really land well, and I think most of the funny stuff did land well in this episode. Barry dodging the boomerangs, that was cool. They slow down like the projectiles, and we see lightning and stuff. I really feel like Barry is peak powerful, and that's a good thing. Like it's been the Flash for 9 years. Give him like some cool scenes. Barry's catalog. Now, the reason why I like that is he wants his family to be safe, and he will do whatever it takes. And he sees that as being the answer, even if in the end it's not really the answer, and that's the point of this episode. But he learned in some ways from the past because he's like, look, if we just do what we are meant to do, nothing wrong can happen, and we don't want wrong things to happen. And you can see like almost, I say almost, but in fact she was in no real danger because it's Iris, but Iris almost died in season 8, and you can tell that this changed Barry. So that aspect of Barry catalog, I liked it because instead of just being a victim of what's going on to him, he tried to take charge of it, even if it's the wrong way to deal with things. He tried to deal with things on his own, and this is good for me at least. Now, containing the timeline and explanation behind it. So the time loop. I enjoyed the time loop aspect of this episode. Uh, the very second meeting with Kramer was very interesting because now you realize things will actually change in that time loop. So this was really good. Barry and Iris realizing they are on a time loop. That was funny. Team meeting. That was classic Flash. I like that a lot. Even if Cisco is not around, I do think Chester is a good character. Unless you spend lots of time on this topic, just skip me with the Flash episode. Okay, so the neighbor are doing stuff weird. Okay. Um. Okay. Where was I? Okay, I was there. Um. The free will aspect is very interesting. Iris reacting to this catalog was really good. She's like, "It's wrong, Barry. Like, I don't enjoy this." And Barry going at Joe and Cecile. That was a great scene. Good explanation on how they fixed the time loop. The cliffhanger and Red Dead having zoom feel. I say that because Red Dead actually looks scared. Not scared. Red Dead looks scary, and Red Dead has a big voice of a monster. So this is the zoom feel. Now, um, any thoughts? Positive thoughts? And what are the things you liked, DC? We will go on with you from now on, and we will try to keep the conversation going until Cole is back.
All right. Okay. So things I like. I like that they brought I like the time loop aspect. The time loop aspect for me actually brought on a lot of really interesting storylines. Like when you when you see in the second day, I was like, wait a minute, didn't they just had this conversation? I was like, time travel. Well, and I always thought that it was because in the first day that confrontation between Barry and Captain Boomerang, that mysterious box appeared, and then later in that night you see the some weird like electrical like thing that's what caused the time loop. So, and I really enjoy Barry's fights with Captain Boomerang. It definitely reminds me of old seasons, and it kind of made me wish we had more human antagonists, non-meta powered villains. Like, maybe we could have seen like, you know, like I even my version of season 8, I didn't even use meta humans. I used more humans because I feel like it's something the show desperately needs, like a new sense of air, and I feel like they did that in this episode. But and I know Captain Boomerang is recurring, yeah, and I like Red Diff's appearance, but I've always felt that it's a bit of what's the word I always find it a bit lackluster that now they're doing Red Death when in reality I always thought that Deathstorm from season 8 was like the perfect like replacement for Red Death, because I always imagine Red Death in the Arrowverse, if they're not going to do Batman or Batwoman or Green Arrow Flash, then I feel like a Ghost Shredder Flash, and I feel like Deathstorm would have been the perfect like replacement as like the show's version of Red Death. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and so I am a bit underwhelmed when it comes to Red Death, simply because it right now was not a good time, and also I feel like they kind of wasted him with a better replacement. Um, Another thing I also enjoyed was the Barry and Iris scenes. I like West Allen. I'm not like one of those toxic one fans, but I do enjoy it. I just like the chemistry between Grant Gustin and Candace Patton. I think they work really well together, and I enjoy some of the scenes where they're both in bed, and you see the stinky socks scene, Barry taking a shower. I really enjoy these scenes. Kind of helps that kind of helps feel like their marriage, well, not 100% perfect and has had its ups and downs. You can just see uh, the uh, the love that they have, and so yeah, I guess I guess one nitpicky thing I guess is I'm not sure why Captain Boomerang would ever team up with the Red Death, simply because unless that they're doing like something with Prometheus later on, or who was it? I don't remember, but I remember it was like one of those Arrowverse films that had like a partner. Unless they're doing that and they're setting up later on as to like a mystery, I'm fine with it. I'm just not a fan of Red Death and Captain Boomerang teaming up together.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, I think it's fair to compare this to previous season's premiere. Uh, I think the last really, really strong season premiere we had was season 6. I liked a lot the first half of season 6. The first half of season 6 is among the best material the show has given us. For me, the season fell in the back half. The way they handled with Mirror Mistress and stuff. But I do think the first half of the sixth season is amazing. And this was clearly the best season premiere since season 6. And outside of that, man, even in early season, I think it's better than the first ever episode we had. And it was also better than probably the first episode in the second season. And for me, the second season is the peak of the show. So I think it scales really high. And it's clearly better than the Flashpoint episode. My biggest issue with Flashpoint was it lasted one episode. Like pretty much everyone has the same issue with Flashpoint. Um, yeah, I think this is probably one of the best first episode in next season for me, at least. What would you say about that, DC?
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely a really good season premiere. I enjoy some of the story elements compared to the other season premieres. Well, I can't say I like the first 3 seasons premieres. Like I didn't like season one's premiere. We all know how I feel about season two. It's my least favorite. Season
Yeah.
three, it's step up from season two, but still has a pretty rough um premiere. Because I just didn't like season two that much. Even season three, the first half, it kind of took a while to get invested into it. Season four's, I still wasn't the biggest fan of it. It really was the season five premiere that I enjoy, and then the season six premiere and the season eight premiere. And season seven premiere has a lot of problems. So, in terms of the ones I enjoy, the season five, six, eight, and nine, I'd say this one is not as good as the season eight premiere, but it definitely has its moments.
Yeah, that's good points you bring there. Now you mentioned season five, you liked it a lot. I think season five for me is the season with the biggest disappointment because Sakana could have been great, but I think they ruined him fast and they didn't really know how to stretch him for like 23 episode 22 sorry 22 uh and it's very sad. Now I can't exactly remember. I think the first episode was the episode with Wally and we get them phasing through buildings with a plane, but that's like the only thing I remember from season five. That's it. That's the only thing I remember from season five, outside of like Cicada running away each week.
Yeah, well, I remember some of the character development. Like I remember during some flashbacks, Cicada, at least when he before he became Cicada, he was with his niece, and because she got in trouble at school, and he was like, "You call a kid this word," and he's like, "Yeah," and then he's like, "I'm trying to be the parent here," and that's something I do remember, and I really enjoyed it because it's great development for Cicada's character. I think season five is very underrated because of Cicada, and I do like Cicada. I mainly like him because I feel like they I feel like out of all the Flash villains, he is the one who's the most tragic and the most developed. That's very hardly where you ever see a villain as developed. And I get some people's complaints about the whole, oh, he keeps running away or he keeps being frustrated. But deep down, I feel like things like that is not like nearly as important as character development.
Yeah, I actually get where you are coming from. I will agree with you on saying he has the most character growth, and that's a good aspect of it. But man, they stretched on his storyline too long. The plot armor on the Flash is crazy on both sides. Team Flash should have died almost 5 times, at bare minimum 5 times, and Sigura should have getting captured at least 10 times. So that's the way I see it. Like he was the most powerful villain in the show, just because he could take away everyone's powers, and so many times he could have ended the Flash, his biggest threat. But no, he fly away because the plot needs to happen. That's how I feel about season five. As much as character growth does add value to Cicada, man, as a villain, he is a joke. He is a joke. He's always leaving the scene. Anyway, that's not a rant about season five. So, um, yeah, I think season nine can be amazing if Eric Wallace knows what went wrong during the season he was in charge. But he needs to know that. Otherwise, he will just repeat some of the issues we had with the show, which would be sad because it's the last season. It's the last shot he get. Um, what was your least favorite season under Eric Wallace uh, era, if we can call this way?
My least favorite season from when Eric Wallace was in charge was season seven.
I think it's everyone. It's very
Yeah,
interesting.
My
yeah,
I
least
fully
favorite are
agree.
all of them. Yeah, I'm back.
Well, Cole is back.
Yeah.
So, Cole, we got over our likes and stuff we enjoyed in this episode. I guess this is your turn now. What did you like, if you like anything?
Yeah, the characters I usually find annoying weren't as annoying this episode. That's a positive. From the episodes I've seen at least. Yeah, some of the action was pretty good, as you said. That was pretty good. I'll say I mentioned this visual part was but I will say the color grading though, that aspect of it was a lot better. Uh, so that was pretty good. And again, despite what I said about the writing and all that stuff, the acting itself, though, outside of like one person in specific, was actually good. I'll say I actually did like it. There were cringe scenes still and bad writing and everything, but that wasn't the actor's fault. And yeah, I think all that kind of carried this episode to me for being watchable. But yeah, and yeah, also there's background noise. I don't know. The fucking people are like neighbors. God damn it.
Okay, so I guess now we can move on to our score for the episode, starting with DC because I think Cole is out for a moment. What would be your score out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm
Yeah.
thinking either a 7 or an 8. 7 or an 8.
So you could say 7.5 because that's in the middle.
Yeah, I guess a 7.5. I like the season 9 premiere. I just feel like it still is still recovering from a bunch of the season 8 flaws. You know, the whole like pep talk thing they should kind of stop.
Yeah.
And I feel like the constant with the CC media can get very repetitive really quickly.
I see where you are getting at there. My
Uh,
score was a 9 out of 10. I liked a lot this episode. This was one of the best episode we had since season 6. And now moving on to Cole, what would be your grade out of 10?
Well, I hate to say it because after the grade you guys gave, but again, the rating system is different. So when I say this, it's not bad. It actually kind of means more average for my rating system because like a 5 out of 10 is solid to me. So it's a 4.5. But uh, yeah, also there was something I was trying to remember. I think I might have forgot. Oh yeah, right. How the media in this show. I'll say there were people reviewing that V for Vendetta film and saying that they hated the media in it. Yeah, everything they said about that, which I disagree with, is sums up the media portion in this.
Ah, bruh.
Yeah.
Oh my. People complain about the media and V for Vendetta. They just don't get it, bruh. V for
Yeah.
Vendetta. Have you seen the movie, Marvel?
No, I've never seen it.
It's a
I plan to
masterpiece.
one day. Yeah.
It's a masterpiece. I
Yeah,
think it's the
you need to see that and Sin City back to back.
Yeah,
yeah.
I plan to watch both. I just need to figure out the right time. But yeah.
I
Yep.
think V for Vendetta is my favorite comic book movie I've seen. That's really good. Now, any closing thoughts on the Flash? Anyone?
No,
No.
not for me personally.
So
Same.
thank you very much, DC versus Marvel. You were a great guest as usual, and next week I will invite you again if you want to. You're always welcome. You see, like having that discussion on the topic with three voices that have
Yeah.
different experience and opinion. I think works very well.
Yep.
So, anything you'd like to plug to share about what you plan on doing on your channel and stuff?
Oh, for my channel, I thought it was, yeah, but I plan to do more wrestling content. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like WWE, but some of the stars rash on some of these Arrowverse shows. But yeah, I plan to cover that. I plan to do like a podcast. And yes, I will feature you for some of them. But yeah, really not that much is going on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Hey,
good.
can you on your thing? Can you compare WWE to a good wrestling promotion like New Japan?
I don't know much about that, but I'll try my best.
So, as I said, man, thank you very much for coming and joining us in this discussion. Uh, we will invite you again for sure. That's always amazing having you. So, I wish you a great evening, man. Take care of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Thanks. Have a good day. Hey, goodbye.
Bye. So, it's you and I, Cole, as usual. Um, so I will mark down the timestamp here for my timestamp.
Yeah. Well, when you think Jaded's gonna appear?
I don't know. That's why I placed
Yeah.
Avatar last.
Uh,
Because worst case scenario, he doesn't show up. But that's fine. I mean, I
yeah,
invited
that's
him. I
all
did
right.
my part, and
Yeah. Well, so I guess, uh, yeah. Well, I
next.
will say we should probably do Legends of Tomorrow next,
Well,
because
I since we have three movies that are not comic book, I'd recommend Legends to be sandwiched in the center
yeah, okay,
instead
that's
of.
true. No, because
Uh,
I was
uh,
just gonna say that because I have probably the least to say about Legends of Tomorrow because I will say some things that it improved on or things that got worse and stuff, but outside of that, like I don't really have. If there's like a season of a show and then the next one is similar, then that's kind of like all I have to say about it. Just what I think it improved on or got worse on, because it's kind of like the same for me. Kind of just blank out unless I'm really into it.
Yeah. So I'd recommend we start with Aftersun because that's the first movie I've seen in the movies we will cover today. So let's start off with the overall thought. Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike it?
Yeah. So just like the menu, though, I liked it more than the menu. This was a film that I heard like the praise it was getting. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. It'll be good. But I did not expect it to be anything more than just a very good film. I thought there would be just many other films I would like better than it. And yeah, on my first watch, I really enjoyed it, and then I rewatched it again, and yeah, so this is probably one of my biggest surprises of the year. I think this might be one of my favorite films that came out in 2022. Uh, I really love the style of it and just everything and all the messages and just what the tone and feels of it, what it represents is just it's one of the most perfect for me, like coming of age, like nostalgic films. Like like honestly, words can't really describe it. Like honestly, you just have to like actually just watch it, and in the moment, like all these things will go through your mind, but it's hard to like explain into words. But honestly, it's like the type of film where you watch and then it's like makes you think back on everything that your parents have ever said to you.
Yeah.
It's that type of film. Like it is, and yeah, it's everybody's gonna take different messages and meanings out of it. But yeah, and I love the acting, just the cinematography, the directing style, the editing, just everything. I love it, and the twists and turns in it. And yeah, I don't have anything to say exactly into detail because it's just hard for me to put into words, but yeah, this was quite an experienced film. Honestly, it is very personal feeling or whatnot. I'll say, yeah. But I mean, I'm really interested in what you thought of it. If you have similar feelings or not.
I think the movie was enjoyable. Now you mentioned the menu much earlier when we first opened up with that topic. I will say this: this movie After Sun is much better than the menu. I think, but that's just me. Um, Now overall, I don't see myself rewatching After Sun. Um, the movie is enjoyable, as I said. It's just fine for me. Um, there are worse and there are better movie out there. So I think it's the right moment for the dislikes because that's pretty much the overall thoughts I had.
Oh well, I
Because
can list off one of them. I'm sure. For me personally, it was not because I actually loved it and I thought it was really important and did the perfect amount. But I can already tell what one of them for you is going to be. You want me to guess?
yeah,
The pacing.
yeah, bruh,
Yeah.
you know me too well.
Yeah, like again though, I do think like I can understand what you think, but I do think like there's a purpose in films like these to leave scenes going on for as long. Like for example, the very opening scene, it's the intent of it is kind of like to make the audience go like, oh, what's going on? Why is this? And then it kind of like makes you lean forward, like what's happening? Why is there no sound? And it kind of like it's clear of like an invitation into its world. Like that was the intent by the director there, and other things that she said. Yeah,
So
but yeah,
I will say this. I haven't noted it anywhere, but that's what I remember enjoying without really marking it down. I enjoyed the fact that this movie was kind of fast. Well, not necessarily in the pacing, but in the length. It wasn't the longest movie ever, so
yeah,
that's actually
yeah. It's an
fine.
hour and 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so my issues. You were right. You nailed it, as we say. Pacing comes back twice. The first time is pacing in the first 10 minutes. I feel like a lot of the first 10 minutes could have been trimmed down, cut down. Uh, that was the rough start. I was like, will this movie be like that the entire time? That will be rough. But then I was proved wrong, and not the entire movie at that pacing. Thank you, movie. Later on, pacing came back. I guess that was somewhere in the middle. I was like, that movie is a bit too long for me, despite being shorter than the usual 3 hour movie we cover. um, Now, the third issue. Um, the father letting your daughter alone at night isn't believable. Now, I will go further with this. That also goes against the father protective nature. So for me, it felt off character and it wasn't believable. And I think the idea of this movie is to depict a father daughter relationship. So when your father acts off character this way, it takes me out of the movie fast. So what is your take on that?
Sorry, I was doing something quickly. What was it? What did you? Could you repeat it?
So my issue was the father letting her daughter alone at night isn't believable because that goes against the father protective nature.
Well, I do think like again, I mean, there different people have personal experiences, but just like from what I know, and also growing up and with other people and watching other films and everything, like I do see it being realistic. Like at first, yeah, but once you stay there for longer and more calm and everything, it feels more like safer, like enclosed resort place. You feel less need to be so protective. So it's like okay, around people it's just the hotel area, so yeah, whatever. And then yeah, then later on kind of has like a freak out moment, like and then also gets drunk and shit, or high. And yeah, so for me personally, I think it's realistic, but that's just me.
So I had a weird relationship with my father, so I cannot say I can relate. And my
Well,
father was,
I had kind of a weird. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, I just wanted to say like I did not have like a normal one nighter. Like again, I
yeah,
kind
my
of
father wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. He wasn't
yeah,
getting high or drunk.
yeah,
That's
no,
all I will
yeah,
say.
no,
So,
mine was pretty abusive. So yeah, but
oh
I've still experienced like everything in life during my younger years, and also going on vacations and stuff, and in my older years, and seeing other experiences as well, where I kind of have a good grip on what can be realistic or not. And again, like, should he have done it? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think it's like realistic, and with the tone of the film, after like staying there for longer, like it is realistic with people for me personally. But yeah, I mean, if somebody else doesn't feel that way, then that's fine. Because again, I think the most important thing with any film is yeah, just the feel for you personally. Like I think yeah, that's always the most important thing with film, because at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do with like trying to grade stuff objectively, and every film has like a different style of like cinematography, directing, genre, and everything. So a lot of it all comes down to like how it makes you feel at the end of the day. So yeah, I can't fault it.
yeah, yeah, I can see where you are getting at. So that's it for my issues. Did you have any issues with the movie?
uh for me, no. And that doesn't mean it's like a film's a perfect 10 or anything, but there's no issues I saw. There was a bit of confusion and stuff throughout some of it, but that was the point of it, and to keep you guessing and stuff and discovering stuff. And then there's that like just big realizations like throughout the film, and then making you think about your life and everything, and your childhood and parenting and everything, like yeah. So
Okay. I guess we will move on to the things we enjoyed. I will say this: I didn't add much because most of the movie I didn't feel stuff I didn't like or liked. I think I was just enjoying the trip. I guess I was just entertained. I guess I still had a few likes. I think the father was really likable, and the daughter felt real. The characters were really good, I think. Outside of that moment where father protective nature is kind of destroyed, overall, I think both character makes sense.
yeah,
Uh,
well, again, it is often they kind of let their guard down or feel safer, like okay, I can take the risk, need to learn eventually in life,
yeah,
can't keep them protected forever. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one of the big things. Like the entire film, every second of it just feels so real. And again, it is all memories from the director's, childhood on
yeah,
and all this stuff. So that's why. But yeah, it's just feels completely like ripped out from like a documentary. It feels so real, and from like my experiences too. And on vacation to certain resorts and stuff in the past. But yeah, it all feels so real. But yeah, what did you think of the acting from the both of the leads? Because yeah, this wasn't a film that got this only got one nominee out of the stuff we're watching, which I thought was a bit of a travesty. But also leads to something I'm gonna have to discuss and bring up later about some controversy. But but it got a nominee for the lead actor. I believe like Paul Messi, I believe is his name. So, but I just
Really,
want to know, what did you think of the two performances?
I think they did the job. Uh, I didn't feel anything special coming from them outside of maybe the daughter, because the daughter is a child actor, and sometimes the child actor they are child. They don't really have the experience to make good
Yeah.
acting. So I think they did great job, and it's also a bit hard to really judge there because I feel like it was very basic stuff they were given to. Like there's no big breakdown scene where one or the other just tears, and I don't
They're
really
they're kind of
remember.
were, but there were, but in many moments, but not like I get what you mean by that, but I think that's also kind of the beauty of it. It's like you expect something like tragic to happen or something,
Yeah,
and it does, but in different ways. And then also the character looking back in the older years and everything, and then you see like glimpses of what probably led to his eventual demise, his death or whatnot, and but that was never shown in the film. But yeah, and but I mean, with certain like characters, just like like yeah, on vacation, and yeah, your mother, yeah, it's like yeah, I can. I mean, it's basic, yeah, and it feels real, but it's basic. I get what you mean, but in my opinion, it's all about the execution. And for me
yeah.
personally, I think the execution was perfect, especially from the kid actor.
Yeah, I will add more to this. I think the kid really felt like a kid, and I added more to this. So the people behind the movie either have kids or kids of their own, or they know kids. And this is a praise because sometimes you have grown up writing kids, and they
Hmm.
don't have kids, and you can tell in the writing of the characters.
Yeah,
And
yeah, Hollywood cannot understand kids. So
and
when an indie film like this does, it's always good. But again, it's
it
also, I believe, the experiences from the director too. Like I'm pretty sure this is based on the director as a kid and everything.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, I see that. I see that because like the girls usually they want boyfriend faster than boys because that's in their DNA, I guess. And you could tell like this is really a little girl, and yeah, that's well done, I think, on that aspect. Now,
and honest, yeah, it really was, and it also like that halfway through, because like during the whole film, like again, also a a coming of age film as well, multi genre, and you see all those scenes and you think it like the point of it is like her just like understanding things and thinking about when she gets older and stuff like that, and with like in the future. But then but then they show that one scene with her as an adult and realizing who she's married to, and you realize, oh, it was actually more like realizing her sexuality wasn't straight, so
yeah.
that, and then you like think of the shots back, that the way it was filmed, and you start to put the pieces together, like, oh, that's what it was. And I think that was amazingly done there. uh, yeah.
So I will also say this: the father trying to teach self defense to the daughter felt very real. I like that a lot. I was like, man, this is a father doing his best to protect her daughter, and this was good. What did you think of that?
Yeah, that was really good. Like again, there are many scenes like that, and yeah, I thought they were all wonderfully done and really real and authentic. and there really wasn't like one scene in the entire film that wasn't authentic feeling that like broke my immersion.
Yeah. Um, Now, the music overall was good. I liked it. That
Yeah,
was good.
loved it.
It wasn't the best music out there, but it was good. It did fit well the story they
Yeah,
wanted to tell.
there was better music this year, but yeah, I thought it was great, and it set the scene.
So I don't have much more to say. I think it's the right moment to move to the grade, except if you'd like to share something else.
Uh, yeah, no, not too much, but again, this was just if you haven't seen it, watch it. Like again, this is a film that I think from yeah again with everything I'm seeing, it's like it's either going to be a film for somebody that's like that like multi-topic. Yeah, you think it's pretty good, but yeah, nothing too special. Or honestly, like it might be like one of your favorites of the year. Like that's what I'm really seeing with like the um yeah with the reception it gets. It's like you either think it's like good or you think it's like amazing or a masterpiece or something
Yeah,
apparently. So yeah, definitely check it out for yourself. But yeah, there was yeah, and after the grade, yeah, so there was one thing I wanted to bring up. But yeah, for my grade though, for me it's a 9.5.
that's good. For me, it's a
Yeah.
8 out of 10 because I think the fact that this movie is 1 hour and 40 minutes, even if the pacing is not on point for me, I think it was short enough, um,
Hmm.
and that's good. Like, it's not the best movie out there, and it doesn't need to be, and it doesn't need to last like 3 hour. Babylon. Outside of that, man, yeah, I think I've said enough. 8 out of 10 for me is it's a good movie. It's not great for me. Great would be 9, but it's a good movie. It's above average and
Yeah.
yeah, enjoyable.
Yeah. So there was so yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up. So yeah, so this film again, as I said, it only got one nomination. Me personally, I would nominate for more, but yeah, this brought up one thing. No, yeah, so the last 2 years there were female director nominees and such, and two winners in a row. Yeah, this year there were none, and more people brought up Oscars sexism with female directors and filmmakers, and I wanted to bring this up because I think now in the past, and again with the Oscars, like being so white and shit, it's like yes, 100%. Nowadays, I think they and now that the film industry again, like they've been letting so many more, again back in so many more female directors and their visions. I don't see that anymore, but it brings up the question because there were no female nominations this year. So here's the thing: it's not like it's not the fact that there wasn't any good enough that could have got nominated. All right, like this definitely could have got a nominee for that. But you have to understand the Oscars. They have a way of thinking, and with certain people, that firstly they have a bias towards like long-standing members such as Steven Spielberg with the Fablemans and stuff, and then secondly they have like this idea of like who to give a lot of awards to, and like also workloads as a director, such as they look at a film like The Fablemans or Avatar 2, which didn't even get a nominee, and they just look at like the workload and how many like different locations they went to, and it's like that's how they think of like directors doing a bunch of works, equaling the best work, and like filming it in this certain like pristine produced way, in comparison to something like this, which is way more like indie-ish and has this different entire style to it, and they also just have a bias in general for like the Hollywood system with their moderate budget films or large budget films and whatnot by those directors. So it isn't that the Oscars or Hollywood is sexist. It's the fact that they're just stupid with their ways because again, it's not that there couldn't have been, but again, you have to like let's look at the highest rated films this year by females. There's only like three this year out of like the top 30, and this was one of them. And then there was Women Talking, which we'll watch later when it comes out digitally on like the 7th of March and whatnot. And again, none of those films are films that they would nominate for that. And then you look at like the type of names on there like Steven Spielberg or Quentin Tarantino, and then you also look at the other nominees around this, like if you look at a film and it got like 11 nominations or something, such as Everything Everywhere All at Once, then it's like in their eyes, then you have to automatically give it director as well, or else it wouldn't make much sense to them if a film was so amazing that it got like 11 nominations but then didn't get director. And then there are only 5 spots at the end of the day, so at the end, yeah. So and the thing, the real issue that comes with this is again their ways, because there are female directors who are good enough that would get nominated, and more people of color and everything, but the problem is their films are more in the ones by those people who which are the best that would get nominated are indie-ish or foreign language or more art house films, and they have a bias against those films. And that's the same goes for white male directors as well that got snubbed. Like we look at The Northman didn't get anything, and other films from this year we've watched, it's like, yeah, and I know some of them you loved, it's like, yeah, didn't get any, and it's because they're a little weird for their taste, or horror films or independent films or art house films. So yeah, that's the so I just yeah that so that's the real reason. All right, so next time this happens, um don't be a woke sheep and start bitching about the gender thing, because the gender thing has nothing to do about it. What it has to do is the Oscars thinking one way and not branching out at all. That's the real reason. So yeah, I had to go on that long rant to settle it.
That's good. You bring some very interesting points, and I think After Sun, among the movies we covered, it's clearly better than Avatar 2. It's clearly better than actually a lot of the movies we covered. So I think it was a good movie overall, but I don't uh, I don't go as far as saying it deserved an Oscar or anything. But here again, that's just me with my
Yeah, well, again, I'm
opinion.
just saying that because, again, for other people, this was like their best of the year. A lot of people's, this was like in the top 10 for one of the highest rated films. So they're talking about that and also other films. And it's like, yes, that's true, but they're not the style of films that they like to nominate ever, that they usually have a bias against it. And it isn't because a female made them, because there were others exactly like that got even more praise by white male directors that didn't get anything either. So
Yeah.
again, it has nothing to do with sexism, and it has to do with just their stupid ways. So start bitching about that. Stop bitching about Oscars being so white or Oscars being so male. All right. It's again in the past, and also when there were barely any female directors, like when like the first one who ever won an Oscar for directing was in 2009. It's like, sure, but for the past like 6 years though, we've kind of fixed that now. So yeah, let's stop.
So yeah, I think among the movies we covered, I think the Batman did deserve something, and I don't think they got anything so
Oh
far.
no, no, no! They got three things.
Oh, they got three Oscars.
Oh no! Again, the show hasn't happened yet.
Oh,
The
okay.
thing happens, and again, up to you if you want to watch it live. I'm watching it live with some friends just to laugh at how bad it is. But either way, we'll look at the results afterwards and whether you want to watch the cringe ass show to laugh at these stupid Hollywood idiots. And no, so their
That
choices is up to you. But the show,
that could be great.
yeah. So,
We
but
could dedicate a part of a stream just for that.
yeah, hey, yeah, we could stream. We could stream our live reaction to it as it happens. But if you want, but yeah, it happens on the 13th or 14th, so that's the day it happens. But yeah, it got three nominees. So it got, I believe, sound. Yeah, it got, I believe, yeah, sound
Score.
design. No, it didn't get score and it didn't get cinematography. Surprisingly, it got sound design, and then I believe it got makeup and hairstyling, and then I believe it got one other thing. I think it was I completely forgot, but yeah, I got three things. Maybe production design as well. I don't know, but yeah, I got three things total. It's not expected to win any of them though.
Okay. So, I think now we can cover Legends of Tomorrow. So I will mark down here the timestamp. Random Oscar talk. Talk. So, Legends of Tomorrow second season. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was an improvement. Not by I don't I still don't think it's like a great or very good season. Again, not by much. I think this is just going to be these three seasons, just yeah, meh, but watchable, and then it will drop off a cliff, as you said. Um, but yeah, it was an improvement though. Probably about the same as I feel about the first episode of last season 9, but more enjoyable for me personally. But so yeah, again, I don't have again, I said before, I don't have like too much specifically to say about it because again, it's sort of the same type of thing as season 1, but again, it did improve on a lot of things. The cinematography and color grading and everything of and their different like time frames and stuff they go to, um they did improve on that, but it does look as in it's actually like it actually looks like they tried more on making that apparent, but it looks really weird um and messy, and also the costume design looks really cheap in a lot of areas. It looks really cheap, especially a lot of the hats. But yeah, I do think the characters were better done at least. So that was a plus. I think the editing was a bit better, um, at least, and some of the directing was a bit better too. And yes, not all the writing was, and some of the execution in the writing was solid this time. So yeah, it's there are some improvements there, and there are some even more weaknesses there. So that's kind of like what I thought about it overall. So definitely a slight improvement over season 1, and yeah, but still kind of just meh, like nothing special, nothing I'm gonna really remember. Really, it's just whatever. It's watchable, but
So this was hands down my favorite season of the show. I think the villain were great. The Legend of Doom, um, and that was a very strong season for me. Very watchable over and over again for me. Very entertaining. I think they fixed the tone of the show, and no more Kendra, aka Hulk Girl. I'm glad. I hated the guts out of the Hawks. Them being gone, the show feels fresh. And I will also add more to this. Uh, the team itself becomes more of a character than what it was in season 1, and that character got a lot of growth with Sarah as team captain. I think Sarah works much better as captain than Rip, and that was well executed. I liked it a lot. Uh, that season was a blast for me, and yeah, I think that's what I can tell without going too deep into it. I guess we can move on to issues. For me, um, I think some of the episode were a bit weaker and they were really felt. The Shogun episode with the samurai and stuff was really weak. The other really weak episode was the episode about slavery. I think it was called Aberration or Abomination. I can't remember. This is the episode where Maya and Jax are basically with other slaves and they are like singing and stuff. Like, I
Yes.
like the idea.
Sorry if you asked me something. I was away. Something else happened, but I'm back now.
So yeah, I like the idea of the aberration slash abomination episode about slavery, but I think it was poorly executed. Uh, I think this episode
Well,
really
well,
felt
well,
forced.
isn't that the entire show though? Kind of poorly executed elements all around.
I won't say that. I think overall, outside of that, it's well done. But the samurai shogun episode and the slavery episode were really bad. They were like the low point of the show for me. And another issue later would be the Legion of Doom just letting the legends alive in that alternate reality. And they also break the fourth wall, telling the viewer, look, this is what they did, so the legends are still alive. And yeah, that was a big issue for me. Outside of that, I think this season was really strong. What would be your issues with second season?
Oh, again, I basically just settled. Like it's. I mean, I said some of them prior. Like again, some of the execution is still shit. Again, just the cheapness of it, and with the costume design, it's just, and the visual style is still a little whack. It's just confusing a lot of the choices they make. And again, I really don't know what the budget of this show was, but it really feels like they didn't have too much to work with. That, and if they did, then holy fuck, these people should never work in the film industry or show industry ever again. This is just
Well, Firestorm costs a lot of money, and the Atom also because they use a lot of CG with these two, and that's also why the Atom lost his suit in the third episode because they wanted to save some money there. Uh, so yeah, like I think this is like their power set that really costs a lot of money there. Um, so yeah, uh, did you like things in that second season? What did you like the most about this season?
oh sorry. And what I liked the most was, again, for the most part, the characters, and again, there were improvements in the other aspects I mentioned. Like I do think the editing and directing was a bit more of an improvement there, and I just really enjoyed the topics this time more, like the like the places they went to and the enemies. But I thought it was more interesting, way more interesting in the season than the season one.
So, who was your favorite Legion of Doom member?
Hmm. I don't really have one.
Oh, interesting. Um,
Again, I just think they're all kind of just all right or solid. I don't really have a favorite.
and how did you thought the betrayal of Mink was? Did you thought it was well done, poorly executed?
I'm more in the middle.
Okay, I thought like they did plant the seed of Mink betrayal, and I think that was really good writing there. But that's just me. Like him being the outcast among the outcasts, it felt real and true because now he was like the only thug, and Maya keep reminding Mick he's just a thug, but she also sees that Mick is a bit more, but she also encourages. She also like tell Mick you're an animal sometimes, and that really drove him to betray the team. And yeah, I think the new characters with Amaya and Nate, they are two great new character. They replace very well the Ox. What did you think of the new legends, the two new legends, Nate and Amaya?
Oh, sorry. What did I think of the new ones?
Yeah, the new legends, Nate and Amaya.
Um, they were enjoyable for the most part, but I mean, I don't know how to say it. It's like, do you think they were completely needed in certain scenes that they were in there?
Well, Amaya, I feel like she was a bit more thrown there, but Nate was actually very helpful. He is an historian after all, and he had a lot of material this season with closure with his grandfather and his family and stuff. And Nate, I think, was a good addition, and that also gives Ray a partner, someone he resonate with, and that's really good, I think. But that's just me. But I do think Amaya wasn't as needed as Nate, and she was just there to fill a spot in the ship, and that's how I feel
Yeah,
with
well, that's what
Amaya.
I kind of feel like with. I don't know. I did like the other. Again, I agree with what you said. I just feel like other characters could have done certain things with him though. That he did. So, and I honestly just feel like they were brought in as placeholders for the most part. But that being said, I did enjoy them. So for their scenes and stuff. So because of that, I'm more in between with it.
Okay, what did you think of Sarah in the role of the leader now, the captain?
Um, Once again, indifferent. Didn't do anything to wow me and say like, yeah, that's the definitely the leader. But um, at least that they show. I don't know. It's like they make the attempt to, but for me, I don't know. The again with the execution, yeah, but yeah, but yeah. I mean, yeah, she's fine. So and their character. So yeah, whatever. Again, indifferent. Just yeah, 50-50.
So yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground there, and I don't have much more to say. I think we did speak well about the show, and actually, the GSA, the Justice Society of America, did you like what they had, like the one episode centered around them and like the few cameos throughout the season?
Uh, I mean, I liked seeing some of the cameos, but I didn't really care for the episode.
Well, that's very interesting, and yeah, I think we can move on to the grades. Uh, I will give this second season a 9.5 out of 10. For me, it's a masterpiece. The few issues I had were nitpicks, and I think it did what a spin off needed to do. The tone was actually really good. We had tidbits of darker tone throughout the season, but it didn't felt boring or heavy to carry. And we had a lot of jokes, and the jokes were landing. That was a funny show. I think when it tries to be lighthearted, it works very well. And they were actually clever in thinking about how to make this show funny. What would you say about that?
Oh, that is actually one thing I forgot. Yeah, the comedy I liked actually. Hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd probably my rating would probably be a 5.5. Yeah, it was all right. I did enjoy it.
Okay, 5.5 for the season. Um, so yeah, I think now we can move on to the next topic. being Babylon. So, what's up with this movie?
Yeah, I well, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was good, but damn, it's also kind of disappointing. Again, this is the same director who did Whiplash, which I thought was amazing, and it's a film we'll eventually watch. And then he also did La La Land, which I thought was excellent as well. Now he did Babylon, and it was an enjoyable experience. I mean, still, and it had good like production and certain technical aspects and design aspects, but overall and stuff with certain other stuff like the editing and also some stories. So I thought it was a kind of a bit sloppy and messy and everywhere in places. It kind of dragged it down for me personally. Like I still thought it was good, but yeah, out of all the films this year I was looking forward to by certain directors, it was yeah, this was one of the ones that kind of shocked by how it was in comparison to what I thought it would be. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I did a very good job though with showing like old Hollywood and everything, and then the transition to the from silent films to talking films and all that. So yeah, it was interesting, and fucking Toby Maguire's character was hilarious. But yeah, what did you think?
That was Toby Maguire. I knew that face. I was like, he looks and sounds familiar. But that's
Mhm.
freaking Toby Maguire.
What
Wow.
is going on?
Okay, I will say this. That was rough. That was really rough. At the moment, I was
Yeah,
like, a 3 hour movie. Oh my. I like the Batman a lot. But it's because it's a comic book TV show about a superhero that I like. It's my favorite vigilante. So that's why I like 3 hour movies. But
yeah, yeah.
overall,
This did not need to be 3 hours.
yeah. Overall, like other movies 3 hour long, it's rough. It's really rough. So at first I was like, I will give this movie a fair shot, like any other movies. Maybe I will be surprised. Maybe it will be actually really good. And I did ended up uh, dividing the movie into watch. I wasn't able to watch the 3 hours the same day. I was just not able to keep my cool and do such thing. I was like, my, this movie is long. There's a lot of good things in it, but it's a freaking long movie. And that makes it really rough on the first watch. And that makes, for me at least, a second watch impossible. I do not want to rewatch this movie ever again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rewatch it ever again.
And it's funny because sometimes I say I don't. Sometimes I see a movie and after that I'm like I don't see myself rewatching. But maybe one day, let's give another shot. But this movie, no, I pass on that. 3 hour long for this, no. Um, did I see worse movie? Yes, I did. There are worse movies out there, but there's also a lot of better movies that are shorter. So that's are my these are like my overall thoughts. This is funny because on my like the first half I've seen, for most of the first half, I was like, "Is it Brad Pitt, the divorced man?" And then I took a look
Yeah,
to the casting, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Brad Pitt." Uh, so
yeah.
so yeah, I didn't think
I
I
did at least
forgot it.
think the scenes with him was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it was probably the best character in the movie.
Yeah,
Um,
and that scene of fucking the main character trying to calm down that horde.
So
Fucking, that was hilarious.
my notes are just like the movie, all over the place. Because, um,
Mhm.
as I said, I did watch the movie in two shots. I wasn't able to watch it from start to finish on the first try, and on the second try, my internet had issues. So I needed to take another break to reset everything, restart everything, and give it another shot. So here are my notes. Part number one of my notes. My issues. Oh my. Pacing. Pacing is really bad.
Mhm.
Really bad. Really bad. I feel like the first half an hour, the only point of it is, yeah, the previous actress died and they need to find a replacement, and the Mexican guy is in love with the replacement and he meets people. But didn't really needed 30 minutes for that setup and these teams? I don't think so.
Yeah, the whole first party thing and everything lasted 30 minutes, and then we got the title.
Yeah, I think that
Again, it's
start
trying to be
was,
like a crazy out there like party, just like nuts film, and about the Hollywood era and the drug phase and everything as well. It's trying to be like stuff like Wolf of Wall Street and everything. And again, I did enjoy it, but out of all those films, it is easily one of the weakest for me, and because of its pacing and sloppy put together in areas, I just yeah.
so next issue. That was unbelievable. Very convenient that he fell in the pool instead of the cement. Remember when he was dancing on the balcony? That was Brad Pitt character, and at some point he just lose his step and he fall backward, and he just ended up in the pool. I was like, man, you really need to suspend disbelief to believe that this guy can fall from the balcony and just end up in the pool instead of the cement. It was freaking drunk, man. So that's just me. Maybe I'm too harsh. Maybe I nitpick too much. Um, next issue. Next issue. Next issue. Next issue. Maybe not issue. So maybe I'm wrong on that one. That's why I marked down maybe not issue, and this is why you're there to bounce back and say you're wrong or say you're right or understand where I am coming from. Female director in 1927. The sexist era with a question mark. A woman owning a company in the sexist era question mark. Um okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an historian, but pretty much every time travel TV show, they told me, oh, America was sexist until like the 50s and the 70s. Is it accurate? That's what I'm asking. So I'm asking this because I feel like that female director, she was there just to show female director, and now we lost Cole for some reason. Are you there, Cole? What happened? No, Cole. Cole. Cool. Okay, so I guess something happened to his Wi-Fi. I'm wondering what happened. So everyone. We are waiting for Cole to eventually come back. Let's hope he doesn't have too much internet issues. Um, so yeah. In the meantime, chat. What do you think about that? Do you think that era was really sexist the way time travel wants you to believe it was? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong, Just maybe. Cole, please come back. This is like the spicy stuff here. The spicy stuff. Spicy. Cole, where are you, bro? Okay. Think trash. Be right back. Keep talking. Okay, so it crashed, and Cole is coming back. Cole is back. So, are you with us now?
In crash, sorry.
All good. That's not their fault. So, I will rewind the last 3-ish minutes because I need to bounce back. You need to. Well, actually, I need someone to bounce back on. Um, maybe not issue. Now, this is based on my experience. I'm not an historian, and I that's just my perspective, and I may be wrong on that. That's why you're there, to correct me if I'm wrong, or to approve me if I'm right, or to stay in between. um Female director in a 1927, the sexist era, question mark. A woman owning a company in the sexist era, question mark. What's up with that? A lot of time travel stuff, they tell you how awful
Um,
society was to women back in the day. Are they lying, or it's the movie we are
yeah.
watching
So
and covering that light?
good though. Well, no, it's like it depends, but with like when it comes to like the job things, like again, sure, but like in Hollywood and back in the day, like 1920s to like 1950s, there were a lot of like female writers in the writing room. When it came to directors, no, but again, this was silent era, and it was a lot different, and not a lot of people cared as much about like things that go into it. It's like there's many lost films. There's like yeah, like 90% of silent era films are lost. I mean, like they didn't really care what went into it. They didn't really like give actors credit things. It's like it was a whole mess. So it's believable. Like and she was clearly the script writer too, and she was the one filming it with the camera. So then like maybe she wasn't even like really a director. She was just like kind of like the one of the producers and writers, and saying like how she wants the scene and what to do as well. So and that's realistic and during that time. But yeah, I mean it less common, but but yeah, it happened. So
So maybe I'm too harsh and I nitpick too much. This is what you're saying.
oh no, but no, I did like think I was like yeah, I was just like when that scene did happen, I was like, yeah, they definitely did, just pick a female writer and whatnot though for that scene, just for that, but no, it is
So
realistic, but less common than males, of course, during that time. But yeah,
this means either all these movies and TV shows that tell you how bad it is for women, they all lied. It wasn't
well,
that bad.
it depends on certain areas. Like it's like being taken seriously, like the gender thing, the opportunities, being treated as dumb and everything, and also just like how they should act. Yes, but again, they were. It's not like they weren't treated as like human beings. So still, and they were given opportunities, just what was considered lower. And again, the thing again, there were a lot of female writers during that time because even they didn't treat writing well, and they don't treat editing well either during that time, despite those two being like the most important thing to films. So there were a lot of females in those areas, and that like really made films that then a lot of people don't even know about or didn't get any credit. Like even later on, like we see like Star Wars, and the editor for Star Wars was the creators, George Lucas's wife, I believe, and she did so much for that film and for that entire franchise with the editing of hers, and she also came up with so many ideas for the film as well in it, with so many scenes. And but that's not talked about because a lot of people underestimate editing, even though it's like one of the most crucial thing ever to films. And yeah, she was like also the only one to really like win an award that night for the film. So yeah, so even like later on, it still happens, and even today. So
Okay, interesting points. Now, next up, next issue. They played a guy that for laugh when they were filming with sound for the first time. The guy in the sauna like room. How did you feel about that scene?
um, well, again, this is supposed to be like a comedy too. So, but I think like kind of the point of it is just like, again, it was just to show how they treated people back in that day while also playing it for laughs, because it's all a comedy. Like there are many comedic things throughout the film because shit like that did happen, and they did not care about extras. They treated extras like trash. They actually just picked them up off the street, like in that film. Back in the day, that's what they would do. They would just pick them up off the street. Like there was a film, Noah's Ark, from the 1920s or something, silent film. And yeah, they had a flood scene using actual sets and rocks and a ship and submerging the extras in water. Like you should look it up. It is insane. They use
Wow.
hundreds of thousands of gallons of water for the scene, for the authentic, and submerged all the extras, like hundreds to thousands of them. And 4 people died, 4 people drowned, and 1 person lost their leg. And yeah, they just didn't give a fuck. They were just like, well, the extras, are told to always prepare for anything, so they're just gonna have to take the chances, whatever. They mean they're worth nothing. So yeah, then that was a real incident with a real film, and there's many like that. So they just do not care. And during that time, and in Hollywood, and with films about like human life like that, and with extras, so it is actually very realistic. And then they play it for laughs. So yeah, for that one, I didn't have an issue with, but yeah.
Okay, I guess that's fine with that. Plot armor is crazy on the girl that got bitten by the snake. Now, this is a vein where she was bitten at. A vein that if you get caught there, you bleed out fast. So tell me, plot armor, why didn't she die? It's because you exist, plot armor.
Well, I mean, you can survive, so yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know how venomous that snake is supposed to be, so,
I'm not
but
even speaking
yeah.
about the venom. I, I get it. They showcase like the other girl spitting the venom, like dealing with the venom and making it less bad. But this is a really bad injury. This could be a lethal injury in real life.
Yeah, especially during that time frame with how hospital cares was. It's like you get a leg infection and you can
You
die.
could die.
So yeah, but again, I mean, it's they could have made it a little less plot armor there. I'll agree with that scene. Again,
Next up,
well, again, it's like this entire film. They want to do a bunch of crazy shit for like the scale and everything, and they don't care if it's logical or not, because it's all just like a crazy cocaine fueled experience and a comedy as well. So they're just like, yeah, let's do whatever and think afterwards.
You know that you bring that, and this is very interesting because that's my next point, but that's not really on a specific scene. This is in the overall movie. I felt that throughout the movie. They just want to shock people for the sake of shocking people, even if it doesn't make sense. Now I understand some comedy do that, and sometimes it can work, but I feel like in this movie it didn't work at all. Like just being shocking for the sake of it is not really good. Like sometimes the boys in the first season did that, and it worked well. That was actually the only season where I feel like being shocking for the sake of it was good. But that's beside the point. I think in this movie they just wanted everything to be crazy, and it took me off, took me out of the movie fast. Next up, all convenient water dropped over the fake money to end at that said fake money. Now, later on, right after that scene, people are chasing after the main character and they can't freaking aim. You know me. You know me. If people can't aim, I take away points. Uh,
Agree with that one.
like how many bullets they shot? I mean, okay, whatever. Next up, pacing. I feel like in the last like half an hour, the movie that was essentially like fast became really really slow just because the movie wanted to be really really slow. And
Yeah, it's a little weird the pacing.
I feel like we got a useless first half an hour, then we got an hour of like actually an hour and a half of really good stuff, and then we got like the last hour where it's divided between like good stuff and really bad stuff. That movie is a cluster, as you would say it. Oh my! So, what would be your issues with the movie?
I mean, honestly, I kind of just summed up my issues already. It's just sloppy or messy all around. Um, Editing that what so they did something with the editing where it's like they purposely cut out a certain thing of a character like doing something like when he was that when the one guy near the beginning was chasing was like flashing his money to bribe the one guy, with the elephant, and also when he was chasing Brad Pitt's character into his house, it's like they certain scene, just like fast forward. It's like they do cuts like that and edits purposely in it to try to like give off this like style, but in my opinion, it just came off as bad with how it was done. And yeah, the pacing was really off. Like this was again, I have no problem with slow or fast stuff and how long films are, but with the with like 95 or sorry, nine, no, like 98, 99% of the time, but there's the odd like one out of like 100 films where I do. This was one of them because of the way they did it was just it made it so hard to like watch in one sitting. Like I had to take breaks. I had to like split it up in like four sections because it was so hard. It's like after they were able to film the two scenes on those sets, it's like I had to pause it and then take a breather. It's like I couldn't continue, and then I had to do it again. It's like oh god, and there's definitely some sloppiness in areas. And then yeah, the music was really good though, and again the production design was really good. The costume design, sure. Um, Again, I appreciate the style put into this, but and the passion of like old Hollywood, but there were other things I was just like, but yeah, the performances were all good though. I really liked all the performances. Well, besides a couple, there were a couple weak ones in my opinion that I thought weren't as good, but they were minor characters. So that was fine. I still don't think Toby Maguire is a very good actor, but I mean, he was mainly there for comedic effect, so whatever.
This is true.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny film though. So yeah, I'll give it that. I did laugh.
I think that was the funniest movie I've seen in a long time. So, despite my dislikes, I think it's a good comedy. It's a good dumb movie that is just
Yeah.
entertaining when it's not
Well,
boring.
hey, well, that's what I think about Glass Onion. I think it's just a good comedy film, a dumb comedy film that thinks and is trying to be like a smart mystery film, but it's just a dumb comedy.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I think the characters were very likable. There's a lot of characters, but they still all have their own purposes, and I think the way they
Hmm.
tackled racism was actually interesting. Uh, the way these people were racist in Hollywood, that was good because it felt real and accurate to these people in Hollywood. So that aspect of the movie was very good. With the Sydney, the musician, he had a few scenes, but these scenes they were great. And Laurel being like that, or that was entertaining to watch, and that was funny. And the Mexican guy was very good as a character; he was very likable. And the same goes for Brad Pitt character. I think Brad Pitt character was the best character in the movie. I don't know if it's because of the acting or the character, but it was the best part of the movie.
Well, he has the
Um,
most charisma, but I do think the best performance was the again the basically the two leads. Like thought were the best performances, Margaret Robbie and again I forgot the actor's name. He was like I believe it was Da. What was it again? Trying to remember. I think his first name was Diego. I believe. Yeah, I believe it was Diego Calva. I don't know, but yeah, him and Margaret Robbie I do think was the best, and then I think the funnest, well, yeah, the most enjoyable performance was Brad Pitt's, and then yeah, the rest were good too, outside of a couple minor characters, but yeah, they were just minor. So yeah.
so in my likes, I also have Manny killing someone by accident in the cave just
Hmm.
before people are chasing after them. I think it was played for comic relief, but it worked well. It was hilarious. He actually swing that thing by and he kills someone by accident, bruh, bruh. The odds of this happening, they are low, but it made sense within the movie. And then them breaking the lock of the crocodile, that was hilarious. Um,
Yeah, well, anything to play, something for laughs. I mean, it was pretty funny, but yeah.
Man, Laura, the girl, Margot Robbie, puking everywhere at the party after her long speech about how Hollywood people are godly awful. I think this was hands down my favorite scene in the movie. That was well done. That was really strong. And then there's a lot of stuff where I don't feel anything about it throughout the movie. I say that because in the last part of my notes, my last like before the final like my that's when the Mexican guy kills people by accident, and the only issue I had after that was the pacing and people can't aim. So in that final act, if we can call it that way, I didn't feel anything toward the movie. My final like I did bar down was the main character crying in the theater because he reflects to that painful past he had, and that was enjoyable. That felt real.
Hmm.
So I think there was a lot of really good ideas, and the reaction of Brad Pitt after the meeting and him learning that his glory is over and then he kills himself, that felt real. These characters, even if it's a comedy drama, like most of the characters, they really felt real and they were good. So I think I don't have much more to say. We spent like half an hour about that movie already. So, um, what would be your grade on that movie?
Sorry, what's that?
What would be your grade on the movie?
Right, okay. For me, it's a 6 out of 10. It's good, but not great. It had a lot of issues, but I still enjoyed it. It's a 6 out of 10.
That's funny. I gave the exact same score, 6 out of 10. For me, it's mediocre at best, but it's still a 6 out of 10. Uh, yeah. Anything else to add about this movie?
No, that's about it. But yeah, all the out of all the films on this list for the show that they nominated that I thought were at least good, this is probably my weakest.
This is your weakest. So,
Yeah, I mean
uh,
not overall, but just out of the ones that I think are at least good to then masterful, this is my weakest. There are ones that I just thought were terrible that got in for some things.
yeah. So, I guess now we can move on to Avatar. Uh,
Nice.
so I will say this: I did rewatch the first one last weekend because the first one last time I had seen it was 14 years ago when it came out, so I needed
Yeah.
some kind of refresher.
God, I forgot it was that long ago. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like I was
Um.
thinking more like 10 years ago, and then I remember. All right, no, it's 2023, not 2019. Still,
Yeah.
holy fuck, time goes by. Holy
Yeah,
fuck.
and I will say this: I think they are very similar, and they bleed the same issues, and they
Mm,
have kind of the same like strengths. So I feel like both movie will have the same kind of criticism, and I will also add more to this. Last time I've seen Avatar 2, and the only time I have seen the movie was for Chillmonger stream, and that was like almost a month ago, I think. So it's very far, the second one, but I still recommend we could start with the first one because
yeah, we'll
I
start with the first one, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, because anyway, I think most of the thing will repeat themselves anyway.
Hmm.
So, what would be your thoughts on the first Avatar?
Yeah. So this is a film that a lot of people look back on and they say it's like it's not a great it's a film that's all about was the visual effects and shit and technology first time and nothing else. It was just scale and it was like whatever you call it, set pieces and visual effects and technology with no substance and stuff like that. And it's like, and I mean, to an extent, like, yeah, that is were the best parts of it, still are today. And then there wasn't as much with like other stuff, but to a certain extent, though, I do disagree with saying there is like nothing. Like again, not to say that like there weren't many issues with that or it wasn't like weak there with like characters, writing, and like the story and originality there and like other things. But I think one thing people tend to forget about it though is just like the genuine feel of it. I think is a lot more present in the first film than the second film. I think there's definitely like like there's definitely issues, but I think the way it was executed with the tone and everything, it just felt better and more genuine, and it elevated it to still being really good, even if it's not too special on paper and stuff. And in certain areas, like for example, the musical score in the first one. Now there is a video on YouTube that I would recommend checking out, and it's titled "Why Avatar Has the Most Ironic Soundtrack of All Time." And the reason for that, and what reason why people think so and say that, and for that video, because basically, the director James Cameron, he made a bunch of, he got a bunch of tribes to like make music for like tribal sounding music for the film, but then he heard it and he was like, oh, this sounds weird. It's like, yes, because they're native tribal sounds, so they're gonna sound unusual to the American ear. So then he mixed it up with other things, and now it was just like in a random assortion of like clusterfuck things that make no sense in the scenes. But that being said, despite that, with like what it represents, the score itself, how it was still put together, even despite that, by the person who did the original score for the first Avatar film, who sadly like passed away a few years ago in a plane crash. He was able to still put together it um, and did a great job at it and made it feel again genuine and made it feel really powerful and impactful in scenes still. And I think that's the thing that like sums up the first Avatar film. It's like there were issues that it lead to the second film as well, but there were also other things about it that still made it really enjoyable and with fond memories and stuff like that, and not as bad as people try to claim these days with saying it's just about the visual effects and everything. And I am rewatching it after like 14 years was honestly pretty surprising how better it was than I thought it would be. Um, and even like some of the acting by even the lead character, who's like not a good actor at all really, but he did a good job for the most part. Yeah, and even with like weak dialogue, it was still good. So yeah, I mean overall, I think it's a solid film, and it's definitely nothing special, but I don't think it's like bad or anything, or as as not good or anything as like people say. I think there's a lot of stuff they don't put into account or kind of forget from the first, whether it's because they just don't feel that way or haven't like rewatched it in ages. I don't know, but yeah.
So I think the first movie was better than the second one by a little bit. I think
I
the
agree.
characters are very likable. It's well shot. The music is fine. The action is fine. But the movie itself doesn't do anything unique or special. It feels like a story we already have seen so many times. Now, let's go a bit deeper with the issues. Uh, my first issue was pacing. Did you realize both movies were 3 hour long? Too long. That's just me.
Mhm.
The voiceover, I didn't really liked it or hated it. I think it was just fine. Uh, Now, next up is Jake. Plot armor when he ran away from the creature early in the movie. That was like right after he dominated one of the creature. Another creature came in and just ran after him. And then there was that whole chase scene where he went in tight spot to escape. I feel like the plot armor was crazy because at some point Jake gets captured literally, and the creature ate the bag instead of him. Okay, plot armor. It was crazy plot armor. Next up, people can't aim, or they know how to aim only when the plot wants them to hit their targets. Uh, Next up, the military guys are just villain. It's too black and white. There's no nuance. It's not really good. Another issue, the pacing. Another issue, can't aim again. I feel like every single action scene that has guns, people suddenly become stormtrooper, and it's kind of bad. Plot armor on the general. So Jake didn't stab the general because plot armor. Oh my. Uh, Speaking about the general, he feels like a villain in video games. It's really bad, bruh. Why are we getting that kind of villains? I know that movie was made in 2009, but come on, bro. Come on. You can do better. James Cameron, you are known to be good. Why don't you put your skills there? What would be your issues if you didn't mention all of your issues with the first movie?
Well, I kind of did, but again, just the writing, pretty surface level, unspecial. It's kind of like an MCU film writing. It's like the original MCU film with fucking Iron Man. But and some of the character deaths and plot armor was stupid as fuck. Uh, yeah, I don't know. There's just yeah.
So I guess now I will move on with a few of my likes. The music, the visual, but that's obvious. Everyone likes the visual. Um, I kind of enjoyed the lore of the creature and the planet itself. I think it was interesting to see, and that was entertaining as a sci-fi movie. Is it a great movie? No, but it's entertaining. It's enjoyable. Uh, the Jake's new girlfriend. She was a great, strong character that happens to be female. I like these. They are well written, and even if she is alien, she still felt real at some extent.
Yeah,
They are
yeah,
not
the
like
actress who plays her with the CGI like years, yeah, did a great job in both films.
yeah. The moment where everyone dies was sad and emotional. So this was by the end with the big brawl between the blues and the military people. I think that was one of the best part of the movie, even if plot armor was on 2000 and people cannot aim anymore. I still think that was one of the best part of the movie. That's weird. You praise something by telling bad stuff about it. Oh my. To be honest, I don't think I can add much more about this first Avatar movie. It does the job. It's just an adventure in Pandora and nothing more, nothing less. I think I would give this movie 6 out of 10 for mediocre at best. What
Yeah,
would be
for
your
me,
grade?
it's a 6 out of 10. But yeah, a different type of 6 out of 10. I thought it was solid, but yeah, it wasn't anything special. But I don't think it's bad or terrible as people try to make it out to seem to make it out to be these days. I don't know.
So that's very interesting because now we are in two movies in a row where we are the same. That's
Yes, and
very
now this
funny.
is this is going to be my lowest grade. Yeah, I can tell you that much. This next one,
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
I don't think it's bad, but yeah, it's not anything. Honestly, so Jaded, I guess he didn't show up sadly, but honestly, he said one thing that kind of sums up a lot of it best. it's literally 3 hours of filler.
Yeah, that's true. I
And
agree.
again, Pandora's cool, all the stuff and the technology is cool. But yeah, there are a lot of stupid things, a lot of stupid characters, motives. It's really cliche stuff, but we're supposed to forgive it because the cool technology and stuff. And it's like there are other things with, and there's so many things with the characters and their arcs and stuff, and just like characters that are like very trope ish that I just have seen so many times before in other films. It's like goddamn, but oh my god. Yeah, especially the one human character there. I've seen it like so many times before in other films, but and other things before. Like it was even in that fucking Planet of the Apes fucking War for the Planet of the Apes film. Remember? But yeah, I there was a lot of issues I had with it, and yeah, just a lot of stupid moments. But don't think it was bad though. Still, I still think it was. I thought it was decent. That's what I'll say. I thought it was a decent film. I still did enjoy all the technical aspects of it. The music was a lot worse, though. The music I didn't really care for. It was just, and again, I said everything about the first film and being super ironic and how it was like a butchered score, but still the original composer was able to turn it into something wonderful still, even despite that, which is why I don't totally agree with like that one YouTube video about it. But yeah, with this score though, it's just bland. But the editing was really good though, and again the characters were outside of the ones I mentioned. Again, there were some really good characters though, and good performances. Like again, Zoe Saldana, it was still great in this one too, and yeah, the action scenes were pretty great. Those were definitely the highlight of the film. Yeah, there were definitely things I really enjoyed, but there was definitely still a lot of things that was just holding this back. And another thing that so I wanted to learn more about the human side of the things, like while he was gone for so long and while they were gone from the planet, and when she said again like the planet is dying, I really wanted to learn more about that and on their side of the thing. And with scenes with like people like her and the technology and stuff they were using, um and we got none of that after that, so that was disappointing. And then also yeah, the villain character being revived and stuff, it's just I thought he was one of the weaker parts of the first film. I thought he was the typical cliche like villain type character in the first film, but again with the tone of it and everything and the music and and how the scenes were shot, they made it still really impactful despite that. But it still doesn't change how he was kind of like a cliche villain, kind of like one of the weakest characters in the first film. So then to bring him back in the second film was just it really didn't help anything, and he didn't really do much at all. And it's like it's yeah, it really wasn't too good, and they kind of repeated the same stuff again from. They really repeated similar stuff over and over again from the first film. Again, it was just like and the same thing with nature and them learning stuff, and I'm just like, is this going to be the same thing with the third film with the fucking fire volcano tribe, and then the fucking fourth film, the fucking whatever tribes, and then the fifth film, and is the core, and then it's just the villain character going to keep chasing them one by one again, just keep going all over the fucking place after them, and then let me guess, by the end of the whole franchise, he'll probably be like, you know what? I understand the beauty of the world now. I'm done fighting. It's like fuck. It's just like it's so stupid. It's just like this is such a filler film of a lot of stupidity in it. I just don't. I don't get it. There was some other stuff I had to say, but I kind of forgot it. So I'll bring it up if I can remember. Oh yeah, there was actually one thing just remembered. Yeah, um, the storylines repeat so much in this one film as well. It's like holy fuck. It's like near the end. It's like I think I saw Jake's kids get kidnapped like 50 times. And it's like are you gonna keep repeating the same shit 50 times? It's like holy fuck. Yeah, again, there's just so many. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. This is just a whatever film, and the little tour they had with the villain character and the one human character was just like whatever. It's just yeah, I don't know. And Jaded also brought up a good point. They never now it is possible if for it to make sense if they were if they were left on the planet, the people doing the research, or if they spent a long enough time where they would find out about like the whales and the DNA and stuff. But yeah, but the movie never explained it properly, so because of that it's a flaw. And that's they never explained how they found out and so quickly about the DNA brain stuff, the brain matter of the whales and stuff. It's like there's no way they would have done enough research and everything in time to figure all that out with. And again, if they were on there for a long enough time after that stretch when they came back, or if they left the researchers on there, then sure, but the movie never explained it, so it's a flaw. And again, there's many other things, but I kind of forgot. But again, if I remember, I'll bring it up. But yeah, I'll let you talk now. But yeah.
So here again, the villain are one-dimensional. They are a villain for the sake of it. People cannot aim again. Pacing again. Crazy plot armor when the shark attacks brother. The boat is destroyed, and yet some human white-out masks survive to the air. Someone lost an arm, and it doesn't bleed on screen. Can't aim, pacing. Now, this is funny because my first grade was higher than my final. And what sealed the deal for me was during that stream with Chillmonger, we had someone basically telling, yeah, when the boat was in fire, everyone else vanished. Where did they go? What happened with everyone else? Only Jake and his family and the villain were left. What happened to the others? I was like, that's some great point you brought there. I will actually knock off points to the movie because of that. So overall, it's a bit worse than the first one. It's the same freaking length, and it doesn't need to be. It's filler for most of it. Now, I will admit the action is good when there's action and there's something going on. The world is cool looking. The rescue mission, I can't remember what was that. Spider getting captured, that was cool because here again, someone else get captured, but you said it, they get captured over and over again, and it went wrong. The water world is interesting. Uh, we had some funny scenes, cool action sequence. The family is likable. The brother defending the creature was touching. It was good. It felt real. The action sequence, the big war, the well that destroyed everything was amazing. The fight choreography, I liked it. The Tayam death was emotional, for me at least. Big action sequence, the ending. So these are my likes in a nutshell. Uh yeah, I think this is not a great movie and we waited too long for that one. But hey,
Yeah,
it's
well,
James
we're gonna
Cameron
get the other ones quicker, but yeah.
at least.
I'll at least respect, for the independent kind of style, like budget, production that James Cameron put into it. Along with, I mean, even if he's working with like Disney and stuff, I'll respect like his vision and the technology, what he's attempting. But yeah, it isn't the greatest films. It's but I'll take this over some MCU trash like Ant-Man. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'll at
I
least say
fully
that.
agree. I think I would give this
Yeah.
second movie a 5.5 out of 10 before people vanishing because the plot doesn't need them anymore. I was giving the movie 6.5, but them vanishing was a great point someone brought, and I decided to bring down that movie to a 5.5 out of 10. What would be your score with this movie?
It's a 5 out of 10. It's decent, but yeah, there's a lot of issues, and so there was one other thing I wanted to fucking bring up. I talked about it on we talked about it on Chill Stream. I didn't. Oh, I got furious. So I'm gonna talk about it here a bit. Okay, so people brought up the cultural appropriation with the fucking tribe and real life. Okay, let's get some facts straight. All right. Yes, there's some similarities to the tribes um, in this and one of the tribes in real life. Yes, you know what other similarities are? To like 50 other tribes. Do you know why? Because in real life, that's the case as well. That there's like similarities, like
Yeah,
to of one tribe to like many other tribes, because that's just how it is realistically. The film did not depict was not depicting one tribe specifically,
yeah,
right? It was not depicting one tribe specifically. It took inspiration and some things from it, but overall, it was its own creation, and they're just fucking blue aliens. They're not
yeah.
real. Okay, and also there's nothing cultural appropriate. It's like some of the jerseys people yell about, like the fucking Canucks jersey. It's like there's nothing spiritual about it. It's a fucking orca whale, and it's not even the correct art of like indigenous people. And they asked if they're okay with it, and they said they are. And the same thing here. They said they have no issue with what Avatar did. It's like holy fuck, and so basically, you're getting mad at a bunch of fictional blue aliens. There's no cultural appropriation. Touch some fucking grass. There's none. Yes.
Okay, so we will add that as a sub team, cultural appropriation.
Yeah. Jesus fuck. I mean, do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. You it at the right place. Appropriation. Okay. I think now is the right time for the final topic, which is the trailer of the Flash movie. What did you think of it?
I thought it was all right. I don't. A lot of people calling it like amazing and shit and everything, and I really don't understand. I think there's a lot of present issues what I've seen from it, and it looks really messy and everything. And like, what the fuck are they going for? But whatever, it's some sort of weird thing that restarts shit. But it's all weird because yeah, it's just for many reasons I don't even want to get into. It's like trying to make a finale film of a franchise of like five different franchises that never even finished. So it's like, and that were all shit. And it's supposed to be like, it's like, what's the point? I'm like, why are we like trying to like celebrate? It's just so weird. I don't care. It's weird, but oh shit, I don't know. But
uh,
I will But yeah, it was all right though. Um, Again, I heard from the people who watched it early, in the previews and stuff, the test screenings, that it was actually very positive. And again, the film looks all right from what I've seen. There's surprisingly all right. There's a lot of elements I did like from the trailer, so yeah, I'm sure it will be fun and at least fun and decent like Avatar 2. So yeah, but I don't understand the people calling it like amazing and shit and saying this is why you should wait until the film comes. It's like I don't get it. It looks so sloppy in many areas. Also, there was a huge there's a huge plot hole. There's a huge plot hole in it, which is Ezra Miller playing a hero.
Speaking about him, I'm all in for separating the actor from who he is as a person and the art from the artist and stuff. But here's the thing: Ezra Miller, the way he acts, it feels like he's untouchable, and that's what's wrong with Ezra Miller, I think. And this is why, for
Well, no,
once,
this will be his last time with DC. I'm sure they're not going to use him again. He's out. But yeah,
yeah,
the thing is yeah, separating art from the artist. It listen, it all depends in certain cases, and it's like yes, but you should. That also doesn't mean you should like promote or tribute and honor them or like promote them and have them make money well,
yeah,
if they're still alive, if they did shit like fucking rape a child or something like Victor Salva or Roman Polanski or be some stupid washed up bitch singer who just got an Oscar nom this year who did some Super Bowl halftime show who fucking paid tribute to Kanye West after the Hitler Nazi shit he did. Good job, Rihanna, you fucking dumbass. So anyway, it all depends on this fucking culture thing they keep bringing up of the separating the art from the artist, and it's like, what do you think about it and shit? And it's like, it with Ezra Miller's case, it's like sure, but the thing is, it's not even about like the art or the films right now. It's just he should not be working right now. He's not in the right like mental state. He needs to go to rehab and get help with all the shit he's done. And also he still needs to like go to court and get like
jail time.
get fucking found guilty. Well, I don't know about
For
jail. It
all of the
depends,
things
but
he did, for all of the
he
things he
needs to be
did,
found guilty in court and get
yeah.
punishments. Yeah.
If that was like one thing he did wrong, and the rest of his life would be like redemption path and stuff, I'm all in for second chances. If he comes back 10 years from now as a changed person, I will actually be all in and support everything he does. But here's the thing, he doesn't look like someone that cares to change. He doesn't look like someone that wants to change. He is fine with the way he is, and he doesn't give a crap about others. And that's the issue with him. And this is why I will not support that movie. It's because that freak did everything he could to hurt people, and he thought he could get away with it. And so far, he did get away with it, And as I said, if that was one issue, I would be like, okay, he needs help. He needs people around him to like helping changing into a better person. But at that point, it's beyond that. He just doesn't care, and that's the issue. He doesn't seem to understand he did wrong stuff, and that's the issue. So, if you want to watch it, that's fine, but I will not watch this movie. And if you watch it, we surely can cover this. Of course, I won't be able to talk much about it because I will not have seen that movie. But if you still plan on watching the movie despite that, that's fine. And that would give me a reason to cover maybe the Flash movie Is it good or bad?
Well, of course, but I'm not watching it in theaters. It looks messy. I'm not watching it in theaters. I'll wait till digital.
Yeah, maybe I will eventually watch it when it's digital. Maybe depends on how people react to it. Uh, like that's how I deal with most Marvel stuff, and usually I don't do that with DC. But now it's like Ezra Miller. He is a case of his own. But I think the focus should be on the Flash. Even if I don't like Ezra Miller, it's a Flash movie, but they sprinkle so many characters just to get people excited. Look at that cameo, Supergirl. Look at that cameo, Zah. Look at that cameo, Ben Affleck Batman. Look at that cameo, Keaton Batman. So it's not because you have a bunch of cameo that you're doing a good movie or a good product. Cameo is just like something you add on top. Like it's like the topping of your cake. And your cake itself need to be good. It's not the topping that will like save your cake. That's how I see it. So, any closing thoughts on that?
No, that's about it. But yeah.
Man, as usual, now we are more in the outro aspect of it. Next week, instead of covering
Mhm.
Legends of Tomorrow third season, we will cover some of the crossover of the Arrowverse. We will actually cover each crossover outside of the last two. So this is a total of like 14 episodes. It's like a season of Legends, and I will list you every episode. Do you think you will be able in the 6 days to watch the 14 episodes?
I should be able to, but if there's any I miss, then I'll let you know. But yeah, I'll
Okay,
probably have
because
to
we
like
can
write down
always.
notes after each one because so I don't forget.
Yeah, that's important, and we can cover that as like separate movies because these crossover are like movies basically, and the biggest reason why we cover these is because Legends of Tomorrow third season rely a lot on the crossover, and I think if we only watch the crossover of that season,
Right?
it will
Is
it
that why you told me to skip the one episode of season two?
yeah, because that's part of one of the crossover we will cover basically next week, and that's also why I waited until we finish like season two. Then you have at least two seasons of Legends, and you got to know a bit characters. And the third season, the crossover is essential to the third season for two specific episodes. That's why we watch the crossover before the season. And I also think the crossover of Legends third season is really, really good. They are all good. I think all of the crossover were really good, but I think the more crossover we had, the better they became. That's how I see it. And yeah, that's very interesting. And Legends fifth season will also be affected by crossover we will cover before we cover the fifth season. So yeah, for next week we have 14 episodes. Uh, in the bunch we got Supergirl, we got the Flash, we got Arrow, and we got Legends. So all of them together, it's a total of uh, 14 episodes, and I will send you the right order for these, and you will let me know if you're able to watch everything. Worst case scenario, we can push back the
Yeah.
podcast to
Well, yeah.
Wednesday
Well,
or
if I don't, if I'm not able to, then what I'll do is I should at minimum watch around seven. So if I can't, then we can split it up: seven next week,
yeah,
seven the week after.
that could be
Yeah,
a good thing there.
but yeah, and again yeah, keep recommended. I guess three films since or
Yeah.
um.
So
So the ones this week I haven't actually looked at it yet to decide which ones, but I'll do that I guess quickly. Or after the stream, I guess when it ends, I'll let you
yeah,
know.
you will be able to send me everything when you can. So with that being
Yeah,
said,
yeah, I'll send it to you on Discord right after.
okay. So thank you very much, man. As usual, we had a blast, and now I will. Sorry about that. Um, Yeah, I had another blast as usual. You are a great co-host. We had a guest. At that point, he is almost a recurring guest because he covers the Flash with us, and that's great. I hope you will come back next week. That could be another very interesting discussion there. By the way, we also cover the Flash
Yeah,
Again
I'm
episode
sure
next
he
week.
will, at least for the Flash episodes.
Yeah. So yeah, the Flash Again
Yeah,
episode is out tonight. Because I work day shift, I won't be able to watch it today. I will watch it tomorrow probably, but I'm looking forward for the next episode of The Flash. So yeah, next week The Flash, the crossover. I hope, I wish you have enough time to watch all 14 episodes. That could be great. Worst case scenario, we divide uh, into two streams. Uh, we will also cover great movies as
yep, for
usual.
sure. And yeah, I'm just looking at the things. So yeah, so we at all. I also I said I would send you, so I'll send you that as well along with it. But which I talked about before. But yeah, also there was one other thing. Along with the weekly films. So there are also shorts that are
You did cut off here.
nominated.
I
There are
didn't get
five
you.
animated short films, five live action short films.
You did cut off
Oh,
at
I'm sorry, I
short
cut off. Can you
films.
hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry, can you hear me?
yeah. Now I
Yeah, well,
can.
I was saying there. Yeah, so yeah, sorry, I was just saying, yeah, there are every year five short, so 15 short films that get nominated in three different categories: animation, documentary, and live action. Now, we're
That's good.
not going to, since they're just short films and everything, and there's a bunch, we're not going to show or, review them and stuff like that. But what I want you to do anyway is, if you can, in your free time, I'm going to send you the names of all of them. And just in your free time, if you're able to, whenever, just go by as try to like get through all of them along with the three or so weekly films we do before the
Perfect.
thing starts. Try to watch all 15 of them in time as well, and then you can later on tell me just like what you thought of each one quickly, and just like which one your favorite was in each category. So
Perfect. That's a good plan there.
yeah.
So, man, that was amazing as usual. Thank you very much, and you viewer, thank you very much for sticking around. Like, comment, and subscribe. All the YouTube stuff. With that being said, man, have a great day, Cole. Take care of yourself, and I wish you all
You too.
a good time. Take care, man.
Yeah, you too.